Hey, what's up, everybody? It's DisThunder from the... Whoa, hold on. I'm going to leave that in. It's just DisThunder. I'm from my house. DisThunder from his house. And we're going to take a look today at the Mezco 112 Collective, Rumble Society, Doc Nocturnal, Monster Who Hunts Monsters, and the Decapod Gang Carborn Brothers. Why are we going to do these two together? Well, because they kind of go together. So it just made sense, especially with as little tardy as I am in this review. I figured I'd just put everybody together so we could look at all the machine guns and the hats and the suits and the skulls all together in one. And that makes sense because all we're doing here is expanding the Doc Nocturniverse, if that's a term. We can make that a thing. Maybe we shouldn't make that a thing. But the universe that makes up the Doc Nocturnal characters in Mezco Toys' Rumble Society, this is almost a subline of a subline, right? We got Doc Nocturnal, the original. It's been several years now. I actually reviewed it for the Foosh back in the day. So I don't think I've actually taken a proper look at that figure in video form. So that's a good excuse as any to look at the upgrade here. And then, of course, the Decapod Gang is just an opportunity to look at a couple of very strange crustacean-themed mobster figures, which may seem a little niche on the surface, but I think there's probably a lot of uses for these guys with something as simple as a head and a neck swap. If you just need more bad guys in suits with hats, you can't go wrong there. And that's probably spoiling the majority of my review here by throwing that out here in the first 5 minutes, but it's okay.
All right. So, first things first. We do have a posable wire in his cape. I know. There's a hole here that this can go through. This son of a bitch is on there so tight, I'm just going to leave it as is, and it doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, that's a you problem, not a me problem. However, so we're going to pull this back, pop this head off so I can remove the cloak. And we can have a look at him without it. So there you can see there is a double jointed neck. Once again, there's a little bit of range. Not bad considering you got a lot of collar stuff going on there. But it's there. Dude. Not too bad. Okay. Now he has, same, no lateral joint, but bicep swivel. Shoulder can actually come really about there, but a little further. And then a pretty good, just gonna hit that gauntlet right there is about it. And there's his ball jointed wrist, which is pretty swanky. Coming into here, there is, there's an upper thoracic and then a lower. With this pleather business here, you are not getting a ton back, but forward is, that's a lot of waist joint too, but you get where I'm going there. Forward, pretty indistinguishable, right? But the way these come down, that means his hips don't have anything really in the way, so we can go out and to the side, and then double jointed knee, which is pretty solid. And then I really like these boots. It's a tight joint, but there's some good range. But while we've got it off here, let's have a look. As I mentioned, these are actually removable, except for in my case, apparently. And these, you can see there is a, hang on just a second, and put a light on that. See those D-clips right there? These hook there, and that same thing on the back here, so you can remove this if you want to. Harness piece there. It should work better than it does, to be honest. These have a tendency to drop, and I kind of wish if there had been like a loop right here on top of these shoulders, that would have solved a lot of that. And I may add something like that in the future. He's got his little readout guy there. There's a couple of these guys right there. The holster is attached via clip. He has two right-handed holsters, so I guess you could presumably put one there and then one there. Seems a little cumbersome to me, so I just went with this one. But I like how that's free-flowing. It doesn't really get in his way. Got a couple of his grenades. Lift his arm up on this side here. And then back around to the front. You've got a couple extra bullet casings right there. I like these D-hooks too. Here again, maybe something to just, I don't know, something to attach those right there would have gone a long way. Beyond that though, you've got his little communicator right here, so you flip that up right there. And then the mask comes off, but you can also put his hood over the top like so. And That's not bad. You see where his eyes line up. Not too shabby. So, we're going to talk about articulation for these guys. It's a pretty easy thing. Obviously, both these are the same body. The only differences are that, you know, he's got a white shirt with a red stripe tie. He's got a black shirt with a white tie, but same figure. We're going to go ahead and let go. Let go, bud. There we go. Jesus. Good trigger hand. Okay, so you have a ball joint up underneath that crab mess. See that? Actually, we can pop it out there. See right there? And there's another joint in the collarbone. If you want to count it, that's articulation. Come down here. Here's a single joint shoulder, so no bicep, or you know what I mean. Come out to about there with the jacket. I'm sure it'd be less without, but with the jacket still, that's more important. Got a good double elbow and a bicep swivel, and there's that ball jointed wrist there. Open this up. You can see he's basically got a humanoid going torso forward. Not too bad there, huh? And anyway, swivel. For the hips, about there. And then front ways, about there. And then double jointed knee. Not too shabby. Love those socks. And then these are better than I think some of the past ones. Pretty consistent with what we have been seeing in the Dick Tracy figures. Obviously, exact same thing over here.
Coming back over to Doc Noc's weapons, we have his grapple claw thing, one with the cable on it, one without. His very custom foldable Thompson, which we'll look at again here in a second. Two of his blasters. These both have kind of opening actions on them for those casings, those canisters that were on his shoulder harness. And his massive gas grenade launcher that sleeves over his forearm.
So here is his folding Thompson, which I love, but there's a couple of catches here. Number one, you see right there, mine already cracked on the hinge. It still works, but it's a bit of a bummer. However, since it's functional still, so what you do is you twist it like that, and then twist it like this, fold the stock over, and then fold that over, and that allows it to store very compactly, which is pretty clever, I would say. Contrast that to their quad Thompson there, which everything is static on. The drums do rotate on. He's got dual drums, like it's, I mean, the sheer madness of this, I don't know how this would ever work, but so if we take, just unfurl this again, clip, and rotate, punch that back in.
And then coming back over to those pistols I was talking about, this one has a spring hinge in the back, so you kind of load it like kind of a trench load in the back of the pistol. And this one's more like a breech load. Almost feels like it's spring loaded, but it's not. It's just a tight little number there. You see, you could presumably drop a casing right there in the front and then close it back up. And then if you want to take just a quick look closer at this gas grenade launcher, check out this little serial plate on the front. That's a cool touch. And the gas grenades themselves look like 40 millimeters, honestly, but they're on a chain link and they do rotate inside of the action just because that's how Mezco does things, and I definitely appreciate it. Also appreciate all the translucent tubing and stuff along the bottom of it. Just looks very sci-fi. And that also pairs quite nicely with this gas mask here that's actually designed to fit over the skull heads. Took me a little while to figure that out. To do so, you just remove the tubes in the front and just open it up clamshell style like that. And then you just line up the pieces and close it back up. Something like this on top of one of those two skull heads, and it fits quite nicely. I may take this and put this on my other Doc Noc, my small one, just to make kind of a different character out of it. But yeah, paired with the gas grenade launcher, be that mustard gas, be that sarin gas, be that anti-monster killer gas, whatever the hell it is, it looks really cool in a very Victorian steampunk sci-fi sort of setting. Coming back around to the Decapod Gang, we get 2 of those Gatling quad Thompsons that they carry. We get the break action side-by-side coach gun that I think we first got with, that might have been the blank, the sticks of dynamite. Those also have come from elsewhere. I don't remember exactly. Could have been Two-Face or could have been, again, one of the Dick Tracy villains. The M3 grease gun, which we've seen quite a few times, this time in kind of an olive drab paint. We have a nice Colt 1911, definitely more 40 style than some of the modern ones that we've received. Again, familiar to the Dick Tracy releases. J-frame revolver, which we've seen a couple times before. And that little switchblade knife that I think came with flat top. Let's jump back over and do some size comparisons. Here we've got him with the original Doc Noc and Atticus Doom, which obviously these are both kind of short kings, aren't they? This is where the biggest improvement, I think, between the two is because the size Doc Noc is now seems to more accurately portray the presence that he has in the comic books and in the cross-sell stuff. It just, he seemed like he should have been a bigger guy. He was kind of drawn as a bigger guy. So this is a good upgrade, if for no other reason, in that regard. I also like the more substantial boots and gauntlets, which again kind of put him a little more over in that Supreme Knight territory, which is never a bad place to be. Here you see how these two line up, and you can see Supreme Knight is still quite a bit bigger than Doc Noc, but I think that's a damn fine team-up if I've ever seen one. But it's kind of fun to see how these characters, like these revits, it's kind of all like they're building off each other as we go. So here he is with one of the Carborn brothers in the middle, just to give you an idea. It's a pretty big suit body. My best guess is this is probably Prune Face. If somebody's taken one apart already, you may be able to give me a more for sure on that. But just looking how he stacks up, here he is with the original Doc Noc to give you, if you wanted a more intimidating square off between these two, then the little guy would obviously be the better way to go. But it's pretty consistent size-wise with those guys as opposed to the Blank and like Major Tot, who are definitely shorter suit bodies. So here he is with that Prune Face figure to kind of drive that home. I feel like the shoulder line and the neckline line up. The knee joints look like they're about the same spot. And there's probably some shared sculpting. The boots, or excuse me, the shoes in this case could be the same. You really couldn't tell just what a gloss paint job will do, you know. But obviously the hats are new because how else are you going to fit those weird-ass crustacean heads? Speaking of heads, here are the 2 Doc Noc masks that are included. Full disclosure, I broke the one on the left already, taking on and off the unmasked head, which made me feel stupid, but on the other hand, made me also kind of wonder why they didn't just make them separate heads. Might have been a little easier in the long run. But here is that unmasked head with his goggles. And I gotta be honest, I feel like it lost some of its mystique, seeing what he looks like under the skull mask. He's just kind of a generic zombie guy with no nose. I think I like the skull heads better. But not to say that it's a terrible sculpt, because far from it. It's actually got a really cool kind of beady-eyed zombie look, and you can see the war wounds. There's the little port plague on the back of his neck, presumably for like his rejuvenation chamber and things. Something like that, I would say. But in case you're curious, this is how he looks with the original Doc Noc skull, which, I don't know, might be the way I put him in my collection. I like the hollow skull eyes. It's a little more, obviously a little more Skeletor, but I just kind of like that look better. Seeing the red eyes underneath took some of the mystery away for me. And just real quick, I took it on a test drive, put on the shelf with Atticus and the Red Death. And yeah, I like that. It's nice to have the option, if nothing else, right? I like everything else as far as the body goes. He's definitely enough of an upgrade that he's more than worthwhile, but I like the classic head. So this is a little bit of a weird review, huh? This is what happens when you almost break your nose and they send you home with some pills, and those pills make you feel kind of funny. So you don't quite review in your usual fashion. But I had to wait long enough that I could talk into the mic and not sound super nasally. So I had cotton packed in my nose, that sucks. I felt like these assholes look, basically. But so yeah, this is, if you're gonna, you're waiting for me to tell you whether or not I should recommend these to you. And yes, absolutely. If you liked the original Doc Nocturnal, this is a nice step up. The stuff I talked about, like with the shoulder harness, is the only real complaint I have. That, and my preference would have been separate heads instead of those masks that I'm afraid are just kind of brittle. But as far as the Decapod Gang guys go, they're just so ridiculous on their own that, like, seriously, they're crustacean mobsters. It's absolutely asinine, but that makes it fantastic. And, if that's not your speed, they're two really nice suit bodies with similar suits. Well, I think the suits are the same, but with different shirts and ties to make them just different enough. And they're a neck peg and a head swap away from being gangsters to fill out your Dick Tracy shelf, or to hang out with Major Todd if you want to put some of those naughty armbands on them, or if you just want to stick a couple of head sculpts on there with, dudes with scars and stubble on them, and they could, fight your Golden Age Batman. So for that reason alone, getting two of those guys in a box is absolutely great. It wasn't a steal by any means, but I think you get a good deal for what you're getting. And, you totally forgot to mention, if you do like the crustacean heads, you can also put these jacked up crustacean head on one of them where it's getting its eyeball shot out, which is pretty slick. It's a combination of a head and a blood effect. And, I mean, that's pretty damn cool, right? So if you don't like the crustacean heads, you can squish them, I guess. I'm not sure where I was going with that. But as far as 3 figures go from Rumble Society, I can recommend all 3 of these pretty comfortably. The Doc Nocturnal stuff is probably one of my more favorite side quests of the Mezco universe, just because he has so many elements of different characters that I already enjoyed. So much of that Victorian Van Helsing with a little bit of film noir, a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of steampunk. He's got all that stuff going on. So, he's got a skull head, so he's cool looking anyway. But I like that world they've created for it, and I'm definitely going to pick up his Frog Butler, and if they get that wicked-looking trike out, I'll probably get that too. But that means to a lesser extent, if you want to have bad guys for him, he can fight damn near anybody, but these two are pretty suitable bad guys. So overall, I recommend both sets for different reasons, and I hope that you got a chance to get them. I know they disappeared kind of quickly. But in any case, thank you for watching the review. Thank you, Mezco Toys, and we'll talk again soon.